Henry Creel's story is not born from evil but from isolation, confusion, and emotional abandonment. From the beginning, he was a child who felt too much and understood too deeply. His mind worked differently, and the world responded with fear instead of care. This emotional gap planted the first wound. Sympathy begins where neglect begins. People feel drawn to Henry because his pain came before his violence. He did not wake up wanting to destroy, he woke up wanting answers. His loneliness shaped his thoughts. His environment failed him repeatedly. Many recognize that pattern in real life. Vecna represents what happens when sensitivity is treated as something monstrous. Henry's emotions were intense, but no one taught him how to handle them. Instead of guidance, he received silence. Instead of understanding, he received punishment. That failure feels tragically human. His heartbreak lies in never being truly seen. Not by his parents. Not by society. Not even by those who studied him. When someone is constantly misunderstood, bitterness replaces hope. Viewers empathize because they sense that loss. Sympathy for Vecna does not excuse his actions, but it explains their origin. His suffering was real, long-lasting, and avoidable. That truth makes his story devastating rather than simply terrifying. Henry Creel is a warning wrapped in tragedy. 1. He was born different in a world that only loved normality. People sympathize with Henry Creel because from the moment he was born, he was fundamentally different. He didn't choose to see the world more deeply, more painfully, or more intensely than others. His mind worked in ways no one around him could understand or accept. Children who are different are often isolated, and Henry's isolation started early. Instead of curiosity, people reacted with fear. Instead of guidance, he received suspicion. This planted loneliness deep inside him. Loneliness at a young age reshapes a person's soul permanently. Henry learned early that being himself meant being alone. That realization is devastating for a child. No one explained his abilities to him in a loving way. No one helped him feel safe. His difference became his curse. Viewers see a child punished simply for existing. That injustice creates instant sympathy. When someone is rejected before they even understand themselves, people feel compelled to grieve for them. Henry never had a chance to be normal or happy. He was condemned before he could choose anything. That helplessness is heartbreaking. It makes people wonder who he could have been if he was accepted. And that unanswered "what if" lingers painfully. 2. His powers isolated him instead of empowering him. Henry's abilities were extraordinary, but they never brought him joy. Instead, they separated him from humanity. Power without guidance becomes a burden, not a gift. He didn't have a mentor to teach him control or morality. He was left alone with thoughts no child should carry. His mind became his prison. People sympathize because his powers didn't elevate him, they trapped him. He saw darkness in others because he was forced to observe humanity too closely. Knowledge without emotional maturity is dangerous. Henry couldn't turn his abilities off. He was constantly overwhelmed. That kind of mental overload breaks a person slowly. No one asked how it felt for him. No one comforted him. His abilities made him feared, not loved. Fear is a lonely emotion to receive from others. Viewers understand that power itself wasn't the problem, neglect was. Henry's descent feels inevitable rather than chosen. That inevitability makes people sad instead of angry. When someone is doomed by circumstances beyond their control, sympathy naturally follows. His powers were never a blessing. They were a weight he carried alone. 3. His family failed to understand him. Henry's parents didn't truly understand him. Instead of seeking help, they feared him. His father was distant and emotionally unavailable. His mother sensed something was wrong but reacted with terror. Children need reassurance, not rejection. Henry received judgment instead. His home became another place where he felt alien. Family rejection cuts deeper than any other kind. When love is conditional, it destroys trust. Henry learned that even blood could abandon him. That realization damages a child's emotional foundation. People sympathize because family is supposed to be a refuge. Instead, his family became a source of fear. He was treated like a problem, not a child. No one asked why he felt the way he did. No one held him and told him he was safe. Viewers feel the tragedy of a boy who needed love but received suspicion. His resentment didn't come from nowhere. It grew from repeated emotional neglect. When parents fail, children suffer silently. That silent suffering makes Henry's story deeply tragic. 4. His worldview was shaped by trauma, not choice. Henry didn't wake up one day and decide to hate humanity. His beliefs were shaped by repeated trauma. Trauma distorts perception. Pain teaches harsh lessons. Henry learned that humans are cruel because cruelty was all he experienced. His philosophy feels extreme but understandable. People sympathize because trauma explains behavior without excusing it. His actions are wrong, but his pain is real. That duality creates emotional conflict. Viewers struggle to hate someone who was broken first. Trauma became his teacher. Violence became his language. He never learned another way. That lack of alternatives feels tragic. 5. Victim of the Mind Flayer. When Henry Creel crawled into that cave, he wasn't a monster yet, he was just a broken boy carrying a quiet ache inside him. The air was damp and heavy, and in the darkness he found an injured man, bleeding and barely breathing, someone who looked like he still had a chance to be saved. Henry didn't see an enemy there, he saw himself, wounded, abandoned, desperate for help. He opened his suitcase with trembling hands, believing he could do one good thing, believing that kindness might finally choose him back. But the cave was never empty, and mercy is exactly what the Mind Flayer feeds on. The moment the suitcase opened, that shadowed intelligence sensed Henry's grief, his guilt, and his hunger to be understood. It wrapped itself around him slowly, not like an attack, but like comfort, like a whisper saying I see you, I need you, you are special. As the injured man died, Henry's horror and self-blame cracked him open from the inside, and the Mind Flayer slipped into that fracture, binding itself to his mind. It didn't possess him all at once, it bonded with him through shared pain, through the idea that the world was cruel first. In that cave, Henry didn't choose evil, evil chose him, attached itself to his compassion, and twisted the moment he tried to save someone into the beginning of his damnation. 6. He was robbed of innocence too early. Childhood innocence was taken from Henry brutally. He was exposed to darkness far too young. He carried existential thoughts no child should endure. Innocence once lost can never be regained. People sympathize because childhood is sacred. Watching it be destroyed hurts deeply. Henry never got to be carefree. Fear replaced joy early. That emotional theft feels unforgivable. Viewers grieve the childhood he never lived. His bitterness stems from that loss. When innocence dies, something else grows in its place. That transformation feels tragic rather than malicious. People also sympathize because Henry mirrors real-world victims of abuse, neglect, and isolation. His story reflects how society creates monsters through cruelty. He embodies the fear of becoming what hurt you. His pain feels raw and unfiltered. He shows how unchecked trauma festers. Viewers recognize fragments of real suffering in him. His villainy feels earned through suffering, not randomness. His humanity peaks through his cruelty. His emotions feel authentic. His tragedy feels preventable. His anger feels like grief in disguise. His story forces empathy even when uncomfortable. His pain precedes his evil. His loneliness echoes loudly. His fall feels inevitable. His life feels stolen. His soul feels scarred. His story feels unfinished. Henry Creel's story lingers because it forces us to admit an uncomfortable truth: monsters are often made long before they choose to become one. Vecna was not born from pure evil, but from years of silence, fear, exploitation, and emotional abandonment that slowly erased a child who needed understanding. People sympathize with him not because of what he did, but because they can see how easily his pain could have been prevented. Beneath the cruelty was a boy who wanted meaning, control over his suffering, and a world that made sense to him. His tragedy is not just that he became a villain, but that love, guidance, and compassion arrived far too late to save him.